Yeah. What's really happening? What's really happening? It's your boy OG Gigavelli with another episode of Street Code of Conduct. Today, my topic, I'm talking about a cat that took the feds to the box, and what it looked like he won, right? From first days of the situation. But when I further read on, it's a lot of things that I want to talk to y'all about this case, right? So I'm talking about this cat, Arkansas rapper Bankroll Freddie. Beats the feds after his plug and his brother testified against him. So when I read that capture right there, one thing I thought was good, you know what I mean? I'm glad this brother got off, man, you know what I mean? Even after the odds was set up against him, right? But whereas I read on, it's a lot more to this thing, right? So let me read it with you. We gonna at the end of me reading it, I'm gonna drop a little G on it, man. So y'all stay with me. Let me go on and read it for y'all. All right. After more than 2 days of testimony, a jury of 8 women and 4 men deliberated for 4 hours before delivering a mixed verdict, acquitting Arkansas rapper artist Bankroll Freddie, right, of most of the serious charges against him, but convicting him, on other drug and firearm charges. Bankroll Freddie was accused of trafficking between 100 and 1,000 kilograms of marijuana between the March of 2021 and November of 2022, as well as possession of firearm, including a machine gun, in furtherance of a drug trafficking charge or crime. On Friday, the jury found him guilty of charges of conspiracy to distribute marijuana, but attributed less than 50 kilograms of drugs to his participation, far less than the 100 to 1,000 kilograms the government and the prosecutor had asked for. The jury also found Gladly, that's his real name, guilty of 1 count each of possession of marijuana with intent to distribute and possession of a firearms in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime, but acquitted him on the far more serious charge of possession of a machine gun, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 30 years in prison. That's the most serious charge. He faced a 5-year mandatory minimum prison sentence on firearm possession count to be served consecutively to any other sentence he may receive. The jury also found that Gladly, which is Bankroll real name, guilty of 1 count of use of communication device, I guess the cell phone, in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. He faced a maximum sentence of 5 years each on conspiracy count and the marijuana possession count, and 4 years on the communication device count. So now, let me finish up. And sentencing date is expected to be set for the next 60 to 90 days. So listen, man, y'all already know the OG been to the feds. Good time to let you know I authored my book, Federal Pressure, right here. You could get it online on Amazon, or you can also inbox me on all platforms, TikTok, YouTube, you know what I mean, Instagram at OG Gigavelli, you know what I mean, and get your copy. And I do mail outs weekly, right? So I got a lot of information in this book for those that may find themselves in the feds. Also, this is my my first book rather, Pressure. My life story growing up in Liberty City in Miami, you know what I mean, overcoming a lot of different odds, 11 years in the state of Florida, boys school, Okeechobee boys school, ultimately leading me up to like the book I just shared to the feds. So these books right here tell my life story. So with that being said, I've been in the system majority of my life, right? I did 11 years in the state of Florida. I did 16 years in the feds. That gave me the experience to talk about what I'm finna talk about, dealing with this brother right here, Bankroll Freddie situation, right? So like I told y'all, when I first opened the feed and seen Bankroll Freddie, you know what I'm saying, beats the feds. That sounds real good, don't it, right? But as we go, we see that he beat the feds on some of the most serious charges, like the machine gun charge and conspiracy to traffic over 100 to 1,000 kilograms of marijuana. They gave him only hold him accountable for 50 kilograms, right, which is less. So let's go into the meat of this, right? So I could drop and put some G on it to give, to my hustlers, to my young cats out there in the streets. You may be, I know everybody, maybe selling a little weed, doing this or doing that, right? You need to know the law. You know what I'm saying? Because you can find yourself in the same predicament as Bankroll Freddie with your brother, cousin, homeboy, mama, daddy, whoever telling on you. You know how this thing go now, man. This culture we find ourselves in now is why do 10 when you could tell on a friend, right? So with that being said, the OG, I don't never try to tell you young people on my platform how to get your money, what to do. I give you both sides of it, you know what I mean? That ultimately you're grown, you know what I mean? That's your choice, right? I only ask that you respect the code by not including our kids, civilians, our elderly, and our women. Them the only stipulations when I be trying to tell y'all to stand on the G code. And if you do the crime, man, don't bring everybody into your misery with the snitch game, man. Y'all know the OG ain't big on that. Self-responsibility, go lay down and do your time. You know what I mean? You enjoyed the fruits of your hustle when you was doing it. But with that, not get sidetracked, let's get down to this Bankroll Freddie situation, right? So we see that Bankroll Freddie, he beat the feds of some of the most serious charges. But there's some key things about this case that I want to emphasize to y'all so you don't be ignorant to the law and the words that you're going to be hearing if you ever unfortunately find yourself in front of a federal judge dealing with these type of charges, right? You're going to want to understand mandatory minimum. You're going to want to understand consecutively. You know what I'm saying? You're going to want to understand in furtherance of a drug trafficking offense. These things here, you're going to want to understand. And just add to the case, your cell phone usage now is a charge. I didn't even know that part right there, man. You know what I mean? But yeah, they got a part of the statute of call a communicational device is a charge. So all the things that you're doing, from the phone, the communication, to having a gun, to what kind of gun you have, determines how they gonna break this thing down at sentencing, right? So let's get into it, right? For one, Bankroll Freddie, man, his brother told on him, man. And the plug told on him. You know what I mean? The cats that you getting to work from. So the G on that part right there is to let you know, man, sometimes, man, you be thinking that you can trust the people around you. And it's a dirty game, man. And with the snitching going on, it's even dirtier, right? And another thing about these plugs, a lot of times what I learned about in the feds, man, I done seen plugs, especially in the cocaine era, the plug serving you the white, you go drop the white into crack, the plug get less of time than the actual cat that's getting the work from him, man. I done seen situations where the plug catch a case. In order to work the case off, he start sacrificing who? The little soldiers up under him, man. Just you think you pulling up on the plug and everything good. Your side of the situation all solid. Your team is solid, and the plug is the rat. That's some G on that part right there. So don't think the plug is exempt from being a rat. Don't think that your family members not exempt for not turning you in or seeking lesser time off of your back, right? Another thing that I want to point out about this situation with Bankroll Freddie, right, is Bankroll Freddie, I want y'all, to all my gun toters, to all my Draco lovers, to all my switch toters, y'all alternating these guns, you're toting what type of gun that you're toting, because you're in the game, you're not gonna take no losses, you want to make sure you protect it. They looking at it as, man, that's a different offense. You're gonna be found guilty for possession. Then you also gonna be found guilty, right? Or they're gonna be seeking to find you guilty for possessing and distributing, meaning that you just didn't possess this to be of use. You possess this to make some money to distribute. That's a drug charge, separate from the possession charge, right? We see that the type of firearm that you have, right? A 6-shooter, a 38 is different between a Glock with a switch on it. A Glock and a switch on it is different between a semi-automatic AR to my stick toters, you know what I mean? All my big boys, the Dracos and whatnot. You see, the mandatory minimum changed the game on this here. The possession of the gun was 5 years, right? But we also see that it carries a mandatory minimum consecutive time that don't run, listen to this word, concurrent with the time that you're facing. You understand what I'm saying? For actually having the gun. The gun and the drug time will not swallow or run concurrent. It run consecutive. The consecutive mean when you finish whatever, if that drug charge carry 5 years, when you finish it, understand what I'm saying? You got to start on that gun charge, right? And then we see, if you get caught with that Draco or that machine gun, that carries a mandatory minimum of 30 years. Understand what I'm saying? So 30 years now, mandatory minimum. So let's understand this here. Mandatory means that you have to do this time. It's mandatory. Ain't nowhere around it. You're going to do this time, right? The minimum put the cap on the type of mandatory time that you're finna do, right? So if they say a minimum of 30 years, that ain't a minimum of 5 years. That means the minimum, the less that you could do on this charge is 30 years. 30 years. Man, there's some numbers right there, man. Them some numbers. You understand what I'm saying? So, bankroll Freddie, it started off like you beat the feds, right? But man, when they start piling them charges up on you and the jury find you guilty of certain charges, them 5 on that, 5 on that, them 2 5s of possession and the possession of the drugs, they can run together. They can run concurrent. But the charges of the possession of the firearm, that 5 and that drug 5, put that at 10 now because they don't run together. Understand what I'm saying? And then when they give you an furtherance, that's a 924C. I'm running across to y'all statutes. Some of this stuff don't, hey man, some of this stuff might not resonate because you don't know the law. The OG do, because I spent time fighting my case. That 924C time is ran consecutively. That's another 5 to 7 years. And I'm going to tell you about that gun charge. Possessing it is 5 years. Brandishing it, meaning that when they pulled up on you, they seen it or you showed it to one during a sale, you let somebody see, that's brandishing, right? That's 7 year. That's when the enhancement start going. And if you happen to discharge that firearm, showing off, shooting at somebody or whatever, that's 10 years of mandatory up, man. This thing get real, man. This thing get into some real numbers. Now let's equate these numbers to your life, right? Here it is, man. Some of y'all cats in y'all early 20s. Some of y'all cats in y'all mid 20s. Some of y'all cats in y'all 30s, right? Some of y'all cats know y'all shouldn't be out there in y'all 40s. Do y'all got 10 years that you could just go get the feds? 15 years you could go get the feds? Or 30 years you could go get the feds? You do the math. Tack that on to the 20. Let's tack 30 on to the 20. That's 50 when you come home. Let's tack, you know what I mean, 10 on to the 20. That's 30 when you come home. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you got the time, I'm going to tell you what's going to be going on while you're doing this time. Right? A whole lot of reflection that's going to torment you. Shoulda, coulda, wouldas, that's going to torment you. This video that you listen to going to torment you. Right? Also, if you have little kids that you just brought into this world, they're going to be meeting milestones in their life that you're not going to be present at. First grade going to turn into graduation. Graduation going to turn in first year of college if they, you know what I mean, if they go that path. Their kids coming into this world, your grandkids, nieces and nephews growing up that you haven't met or seen. Grandparents are passing on that you haven't had the time to say goodbye to. Those are the things that you are sacrificing, right? In the chase of this bag that you at, man. So, man, listen, man, who wins? Did Bankroll Freddie beat the feds, or did the feds win also? Y'all choice, y'all decision. This is your boy OG Jigavelli, man, with another episode of Street Code of Conduct. Just want to give you something to think about. Put on your dome while you're out here in these streets, man. Y'all be safe. Y'all tap in. Y'all make sure y'all get at me with my books. Keep the message going, man.